Good morning. I am Christina Felchlin, Director of Technology Consulting with Ledgeview Partners. I would like to welcome you to today's Dynamics 365 User Group Webinar. Our spotlight training topic is Workflows versus Microsoft Flows. For our current customers, welcome back. It's always great to spend our time with you. For those new to Ledgeview Partners, we are a business and technology consulting company who partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes. They're supported by core technologies, including customer relationship management and marketing automation. We provide strategic business advice, process definition, and technology solutions to advance your business. For our marketing, I want to highlight our new marketing resources you may be interested in. We have ebooks about achieving a successful implementation of CRM or inside sales program, how to gain user adoption, selecting your marketing automation tool, and even better, how to drive growth with marketing automation. We've also created new infographics you can use or share with your team. This month's highlights are planning the CRM success and 5 ways to create sales and marketing alignment. As always, we have many blogs published month to month on a variety of topics, including CRM user tips. You'll find webinars like this, ebook-focused blog posts, thought leadership, social media tips, and much, much more. This month, we are proud to share case studies for CapLugs and MAPS Credit Union. For those of you who are online and have not yet upgraded to Dynamics 365 version 9, the deadline is approaching fast. We have put together a landing page for you to look at all the information, benefits of upgrading, top considerations, and important deadlines. To help customers prepare for the upgrade, we are offering our upgrade diagnostics at a low rate. Comment in the question pane if you'd like your account manager to contact you about our diagnostics and upgrade services. As your CRM partners, we want to help you prepare and plan to avoid any downtime or loss in functionality. Remember, the deadline to complete your upgrade is January 31st, 2019. For our agenda today, we are going to focus our time on workflows versus Microsoft Flows. We will explain what a Dynamics 365 workflow is, way to utilize workflows in your CRM, and the difference between real-time workflows and background workflows. We will then cover Microsoft Flows, what it is, and various ways you can utilize Microsoft Flow. We will share the licenses Microsoft Flows is included with, and then give you a summary of the workflows and Microsoft Flows side by side. We will then answer the one user-submitted question and tell you about our upcoming webinars. Now, to get to today's featured topic, I will turn it over to Michael Dodds, Application Consultant with Ledgeview Partners, as he gives you key information about how to implement workflows.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Christina. Hope everybody is having a great summer. It's almost over. Fall is slowly approaching. Thankfully, it's still August. We still get to enjoy some warm weather, so bust out those grills and enjoy the last bit of the warm weather we got. But we got some really great topics to jump into. Workflows versus Microsoft Flows. Workflows is one of my favorite things to talk about. Microsoft Flows is honestly, it's a really, really cool feature. So let's jump on in and let's talk about them. All right. So what is a workflow? If you attended our webinar back in February, we talked about workflows and we talked about all things workflows, what you can do with them, scopes, best practices, troubleshooting, covered a whole bunch of topics, okay? So as an admin, you know that workflows is one of your most powerful tools to implement logic without utilizing customizations, so code. So it's one of the most important tools in your toolbox, okay? So it allows you to set triggers for when the workflow will take place, you know, on create, when a status changes, you know, when a field changes, on assign, on those different types of actions. You can do conditions for when those different actions are going to take place. And then there's numerous actions that you can call. So as you can tell, there's a lot that can be done with workflows. So that obviously leads to the question, why would I be using a workflow? What are some use cases for this? So some use cases for a workflow are sending an email when a new owner is assigned. You know, there are many times when ownership changes hands, there, you know, territory reassignment, someone gets promoted, we need to move around account ownership. You know, that happens from time to time. You want to notify the new owner that they've been assigned the case, give them a link to that directly to that record. You can do that all within a workflow, okay? All automated. You don't need to do any manual notification of any kind. You just set up the workflow and it runs every single time there's a new ownership notification, ownership change, okay? Update information on the opportunity with information from the account record based on conditions from the account record. So for instance, I want to update some information on the opportunity with, for instance, industry information from the account. So when the industry on the account, if the industry on the account equals these specific items, I want to pull that industry over, provided there's a field that matches on the opportunity, of course. And then I want to pull over various other fields over from the account, things like that. If I want to grab different information like that. So different things like that I can do. And then triggers. The trigger has to be on the opportunity record. So I have to be on the opportunity screen. That's very, very important. I have to be doing this from the opportunity, looking up to the account and then pulling that information through. So that's a very, very important piece of information. So that's a use case for a workflow. You want to create a follow-up phone call or task when the follow-up date field is filled in. So you put a follow-up date field on a form. It can be on a contact. It could be on an opportunity. When you fill that in, it's a trigger, and then you can create a task and pull over that date field as the due date on that task that you just created or that phone call. So that's some different things that you can do within workflows. I mean, and there's so much more that you can do with this. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, honestly, workflows, I could go on for hours. Honestly, I mean, Christina would probably be very upset with me if I did. But I could go on for hours for different things that you can do with workflows. They're just incredibly powerful. Okay, it's amazing what you can do with them. Now, real-time versus background workflows. They are the reason why I bring this one into real-time into the workflows discussion here is because this is a really, really key feature in terms of the workflows portion. Real-time versus background is one of those critical pieces that you still need to know when you're talking about workflows. Real-time allows you to roll back all the changes if it fails, meaning that's what it does. As the workflow is going through its process, if it fails, it's going to roll back all the changes. Where background, it's going to go through all those steps. If it gets to the last process, it's going to just stop. It's going to be done. And then everything else is already done. Okay? Real-time workflow, just like it sounds, it runs in real time. When you hit save, that change is going to be noticed instantly. Where background, it runs behind the scenes. It's going to require a page refresh. Okay? One of the major drawbacks to a real-time workflow, and if you've attended any one of my trainings, if you attended that webinar back in February, one of the biggest things I tell you is to uncheck that box that says, delete process sessions. That's because it allows you to help with troubleshooting in case anything goes wrong with your workflow. Real time, it doesn't matter. You don't get that option. They're automatically deleted. Okay. You can review all your process sessions with background. Okay. Real-time workflows, real users got to wait until it completes. However, this in most cases is not noticeable to the user. They're not noticing that it's taking any time whatsoever. But this means you have to consider real-time. You have to understand that the user is waiting until it completes, where the user can continue to work until it completes with background workflow. So you have to take that in consideration when you're building workflows. Real-time requires more system resources, where background does not. Real-time workflows run as the user that triggers the workflow. It can run as them, but it can also run as the owner of the workflow, where background workflows always run as the owner of the workflow unless it's on demand. Okay. Now, very, very important, real-time workflow use cases. You want to see the change instantly on the form. You want to show an error message to the user. When a workflow fails in background, you're not notified. You get no notification whatsoever. That's why having like a monthly health check and checking your workflows on a monthly basis at the very least is highly, highly important, because you could not know that your workflows are failing. So checking that is very critical, because you could have logic set up that's just not running. Where with real time, the user is being notified that the workflow failed. Okay, they're getting an error message presented to them. But you can show an error message. You can have an error message that you create show to them. And also, preventing multiple triggers of the workflow from causing problems. Very, very critical. Imagine that you, as a vice president of sales, want to have be notified of top level opportunities. Well, there are times when you hit 50,000, that's your threshold, and you want to be notified. There are times where that can adjust by 1,000, 2,000 here and there as negotiations are going along. You don't need to be notified every time that's happening. So have a flag that you notate that you've already been notified. Okay, so within the workflow at the very end, you're notified. That way you don't get another email. Now with background, what happens is, if let's say the user fills it out and they quick change it to 51,000 because they put it in as 50 and it was actually 51. Well, now the workflow is triggered off twice. Both balls are now up in the air. With background, they're slowly falling together. So now they're going through the process. One's just ahead of the other. Well, they've gone through the process, both have passed the condition of checking if that flag's been met, which means both are going to have an email sent to you. Where with a real-time workflow, one has to go through the entire process, check mark that box that the email has been sent, until the other one goes through the process. It's going to check, say, hey, yep, that email's already been sent, VP already notified, stop the workflow. Now imagine this is going to your customers. You don't want your customers to receive 2 email notifications. So that's why it can be critical preventing multiple triggers of a workflow. That can be a very critical use case. Okay. Now, what is a flow? A flow is simply a workflow that can span multiple applications, not just Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now, I just told you, and I went through a few scenarios as why a workflow is one of the most powerful tools in an admin's toolbox. And now I just said it's a workflow that can span multiple applications. That's simply incredible. We just took something that lived in Dynamics and we said, hey, now let's expand this out to all these different applications that are out there and give you the ability to do this as an admin. And that's absolutely incredible that we can give that ability, okay, instead of needing to have that customization. So this is a pretty powerful tool that is now available. So various scenarios in which you would utilize Microsoft Flow are, creating a task in Planner. Planner's a tool out there. When you have a task in Dynamics 365, create a task, you can have it go through and then create a task in Planner as well. Okay. You can notify your Microsoft Teams about new Dynamics 365 opportunities. Okay. You can create a list item in SharePoint when a record is created in Dynamics 365. Okay. You can save tweets that include a specific hashtag to specific SharePoint lists. Okay. You can create a Dynamics 365 lead based on a tweet. Okay. We are in a social media based world. Okay. We now have the ability to have workflows that are not touching these social media based items. Okay. That's a pretty powerful tool if you think about it. Okay. And that's, again, those are just various scenarios that just touch the tip of the iceberg. There are so many templates out there that are pre-built for you to try. Okay. Now, naturally, this leads to the question of what do I need to set up and run flows? Okay. First and foremost, flows don't exist in Dynamics 365. That's not really where they're kind of housed, so to speak. It's really in Office 365. Okay. So you need Office 365. That's one thing that's very important. Okay. So kind of so the different items here are Microsoft Flow Free. Okay, and that's actually kind of a license thing called Microsoft Flow Free. Okay, the cost is free. Then you have Microsoft Flow for Dynamics 365. The reason why I say free with those asterisks there is because it's included with specific types of licenses for Dynamics 365. Then you have Flow Plan 1 and Flow Plan 2. $5 per user per month and $15 per user per month. And of course, you need Office 365 because that is where flows live. Okay. Now, runs per month, this simply means this is how many times flows run. The more flows you have, the more times they're going to run. And obviously, the frequency in which you are having these items happen, the more users you have, the more times they're going to run. Okay. Now, 750 runs for flow. This can only be used by the licensed user. All the other ones, the Flow for Dynamics 365, the Flow Plan 1, and Flow Plan 2, those are all pooled across all users in the company. Okay. Now, if you run out, you can purchase additional runs at a per monthly basis. It's 50,000 runs, and it's $40 per month cost. So that's just something to consider as well. Now, flow creations, this simply means how many different flows can you create. It's unlimited for every single one. Okay. The run frequency or check time is the other one that's called. This means how many times are they checking for flows being run, and then for the conditions. So basically, they're checking for a flow, and then it's going to go through the process. So 15 minutes. So that's basically means it's going to go check for that every 15 minutes. For the flow for Dynamics 365, every 5 minutes. Flow Plan 1, 3. Flow Plan 2, every minute it's going in and checking. Okay. So there's a little bit of a difference between workflows and Microsoft Flow. Workflows, as you know, they're pretty darn close to instant, and if not, it's a refresh. You see it. Okay, where these, the lowest one you have is a 1 minute check. Okay, so there's a major difference. Okay, connectors that you have, the standard connectors are basically Office 365, Dynamics 365, Azure SQL, and some other Microsoft services. Okay, and then also like Twitter and WordPress. Those are kind of your standard connectors. Okay, your premium connectors are like line of business, like Salesforce and Oracle. Okay, and then you get unlimited custom with Flow Plan 1 and Flow Plan 2, with Flow Free and Flow for Dynamics 365. It's one custom. Okay. Now, as I said, Flow lives out in Office 365, so it needs to connect. If you're on premise, it's not that you don't have access to Flow. You do. It just needs to be able to access your on-premise data, because again, it's looking out to all this different data. That's where it's going to. So Flow needs to access your on-premise Dynamics 365 data, and it can do that with Flow for Dynamics 365, Flow Plan 1, and Flow Plan 2. It cannot in Microsoft Flow Free. Okay. Now, managing your flows, there's really no management within Microsoft Flow Free. Okay, Flow for Dynamics 365 and Flow Plan 1, you basically have the ability to invite others to share in ownership and run flows. And then you have, with Flow Plan 2, you have full management, which means you can also create environments to deploy your flows. And then you also have the ability to view your flow usage across your company. and you can establish environment policies regarding the usage of your connections and flows. Okay, so you can manage your flows at that point. So as you can see, there are different abilities that you have across, and obviously the run frequency is a big one. Okay, so those are some big items to consider when looking at Microsoft Flow. Now, as I said, with the Dynamics 365 for Flow, it is included with specific licenses. Microsoft Dynamics 365 Enterprise Sales, Enterprise Field Service, Enterprise Marketing, Enterprise Customer Service, Enterprise Project Service Automation, Enterprise Operations, and Business Edition Financials. Now, there are also some Office 365 licenses that do include Office Flow for Office 365. Okay, so there is that also. Now, Microsoft Flow Plan 2 is included with the following Dynamics 365 plans. Dynamics 365 Enterprise Plan 2, Dynamics 365 Enterprise Plan 1, and Dynamics 365 Business Edition Plan. And one thing that is noted is that Dynamics 365 Flow is also included in existing CRM Online Enterprise Professional Basic and Essential subscriptions. Okay, so that is an important thing to note. Now, we've talked about workflows, we talked about Microsoft flows. So as you can tell, just in talking about them, there are some differences. Okay, workflows are limited just to Dynamics 365. Microsoft flows, it's across multiple applications. You can go pretty far and wide with this. Okay, they both work with online and on-premise. Microsoft flows more with the on-premise data, because really that's what you're getting at. You're getting at the data. Requires a gateway. Okay, so it's an additional item that you need to set up, but it does work with it. Okay, workflows really don't require a special license. Microsoft Flow does. Workflows, in my opinion, it's more of an intuitive setup. It's there's dynamic. You look at the side, you say, okay, I'm looking at this entity. I want to pull this field and I want to put it into this field on the current entity. Okay, Microsoft Flow, it's a completely different setup. So if you're going from understanding workflows to understanding flows, it's a different process, completely different. Okay, it is going to a much more visual-based process. Okay, the conditions are definitely different. The setup is very, very different. And also, when you are looking to specify individual items, it utilizes GUIDs. Okay, so if you're looking to call out, for instance, if you're looking to call out a specific business unit, you have to know the specific business unit's GUID. Okay, that's basically behind the scenes identification. So there are some things to keep in mind. So there's some things are less intuitive about it. Okay. For workflows, you can create templates. Okay, and then, but with Microsoft Flow, it comes with pre-built templates. Okay. Workflows have some more expansive triggers. Okay, it has, record is created. You can specify the fields in which you want to trigger the workflow. When a record is deleted, when a status changes, those kind of things. With Dynamics 365, you have much more limited triggers, okay, within Microsoft Flow. You can run workflows on demand. For flows, there's a push button ability. Okay, so you push a button and you basically are setting the flow. So there's a push button ability. Admins can really be taught workflows in admin training. Microsoft Flows, admins really need to have a knowledge of multiple applications as well as some advanced admin knowledge to really grasp and be able to use Microsoft Flows. And it can take some quite a bit of time to get up and to understand utilizing Microsoft Flows, where workflows are a little bit easier to understand. That's all for workflows versus Microsoft Flows. Next, we're going to jump into some user-submitted questions. Our first question is there any way to do bulk share in Dynamics CRM? And this is a two-part question. Will Dynamics CRM portal support Arabic language? The first part of that question, to bulk share records and views in CRM, you can definitely do that. You just have to perform the following. Navigate to share to the share view and advanced find. So keep in mind the bulk share portion of the sharing views. You can only do that part for the views that are in that entity. Okay. Same thing with records. Okay, so you have to have a view or a listing of the records. Okay, but you can bulk share them. So the other item is go to the view, select the views or the records, check mark them all, and then click share. So as opposed to just single clicking one of them and clicking share, you go to either the view within the entity or you go to advanced find, go to the shared view section and check all the views you want to share and then click share and then follow the same steps. Add the people or the teams that you want to share it with. And unfortunately, Arabic is one of the languages that as of 2018 is still not available for portals. Is there a direct replacement for dialogue? Great question, and yes, there is. The current replacement for dialogues are called task flows. Okay, these are created. They're as a business process flow. So you would go in, do business process flow, give it a name, and then simply down here, the business process type run as a one process task flow, which means it's in the unified interface only. Okay, so that means within 9.0, it's only going to run in mobile, Outlook app, and the unified user interface section. It's not going to run on the web portion. Okay. So anywhere that the unified user interface exists, that's where you can have the task flows. Can we launch a dialogue in the middle of a workflow? Fortunately, you cannot launch a child dialogue from workflow. And dialogues are being deprecated to be replaced by task flows. And then questions on workflows and wait versus timeout, triggering child workflows and ending workflows. I highly recommend referring back to that February 2018 webinar on workflows. That'll give you a lot of great information on workflows.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for all that great content. We hope you all enjoyed learning more about workflows and Microsoft Flows. Our next user group webinars are moving to Wednesdays for the next few months. We have a great lineup, including what's new in the October release, Part 1 in September, and Part 2 in October. We are then excited to bring you our best practices for beginners in November and then advanced in December. If you know of anyone in your organization who would be interested in these webinars, please remind them that they can register for these exciting webinars by visiting our webpage, ledgeviewpartners.com. Click on News and Events. On the right-hand side, you will see these webinar registration links along with our other webinars about business consulting and marketing automation and strategy. Also, it's not too late to sign up and join us in October at the CRM UG Summit in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. This summit includes 800 plus sessions and is a conference organized by users for the users. Ledgeview will be available in booth 434 or visit us in one of our 6 exciting sessions. If you want to join us at CRM UG, use our code PRP Ledgeview when registering to save 10%. We hope to see you in Phoenix. On behalf of myself, Michael, and all of us at Ledgeview Partners, we thank you for taking time to attend our user group webinar today. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a wonderful day.